Most Canadians have been told that some version of just maximize your RSP. But what if I told you that in some situations, an RSP contribution can sometimes be the wrong choice? Today, I'm going to walk you through when RSP contributions really make sense and when it doesn't. And then one small behavior change that can dramatically improve your retirement success. Let's start with the basics of how an RSP works. An RSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. And at its core, an RSP is about tax timing. When you contribute to an RSP, you get a tax deduction today. Your investments will grow tax deferred, and you pay tax later when you withdraw the money from your RSP. The strategy works best when your tax rate today is higher than your tax rate will be in retirement. That tax rate spread is the fundamental engine behind RSP planning. For example, if you're in roughly 43% marginal tax bracket and you contribute $10,000 to your RSP, very roughly, you're going to receive about $4,300 in tax refund. In retirement, if your marginal tax bracket is 28%, you'll pay $2,800 in taxes on that withdrawal. This means that you've made $1,500 simply off the tax bracket differential. And that's not even counting the advantage of significant tax deferred growth in the RSP leading to retirement. But here's the part that many people miss. What you do with that refund matters enormously. But now, before you start contributing, there are some important guardrails you need to understand about the RSP. RSP contributions are not unlimited. Each year after filing your taxes, your notice of assessment shows your available RSP room. It's important not to over-contribute because, of course, over-contributions are penalized at 1% per month. For our clients, we often use CRA's Represent a Client program to independently verify contribution room and to cross-check reporting. These checks and balances help to avoid costly mistakes. There's also a planning tool that many couples overlook, the spousal RRSP. In many households, one spouse can earn significantly more than the other. Without planning, the higher earner can sometimes accumulate most of the retirement assets. A spousal RSP allows higher income spouse to claim deductions or the tax benefit, while the lower income spouse actually owns the asset or the RSP. Over time, this can help to equalize retirement assets, split income in retirement, and reduce long-term tax risk. Now, this is where the conversation gets a little bit more nuanced. RRSPs are a powerful tool, but they're not always the right answer. For example, I work with some missionaries who qualify for the clergy residence tax deduction. In many of those cases, taxable income is already quite low, and the RSP deduction provides little benefit today. And retirement income from CPP, OAS, and RIF withdrawals could actually end up being in a higher tax bracket than when the contribution was made. In that situation, an RSP will work against you. Another example is, say, younger earners. Let's say you're 19 years old and earning $20,000 a year as a student. Yes, technically you might have RSP room, but the deduction probably isn't very valuable yet. In many cases, it just makes more sense to prioritize the TFSA first, save the RSP room for higher income years. We have a video about the TFSA, and I encourage you to take a look when you have a chance. So how do you actually decide which account to prioritize, TFSA or RRSP? Well, as a general guideline, if your income's roughly under $50,000 per year, the TFSA makes more sense because your marginal tax rate is relatively low. Between about $50,000 and $100,000, it's usually more nuanced and a mix of RRSP and TFSAs. Once you're earning over $100,000, especially in the higher marginal tax brackets, that RSP deduction becomes a super significant and valuable tool. That said, these are just general guidelines. They're not rules. A strong pension income, a spouse's income, your long-term retirement goals can change the answer to that question entirely. And that's why you need me. There is one behavior that can dramatically change outcomes. What do you do with that tax refund? When someone makes an RSP contribution, they typically do one of the following things. They'll take that refund and reinvest it into their RSP, or they'll reinvest it elsewhere, like the TFSA. But most of the time, people just spend it because they see it as free money, but invest that refund instead. Over time, that behavior can make a significant impact and a significant difference in your retirement success. Okay, well, concepts are helpful, but let me show you what this actually looks like from a real planning perspective scenario. Now, we can see here their summary. We can see their assets are growing over time. and then they start to shrink and whoop, they start to run out of money. In fact, we can see their retirement success is 86%. Well, that's not a very good success rate. So our goal is to improve that success rate. Now, there's a variety of underlying assumptions here. Okay, I'm not going to go over all of them with you because that would be pretty boring for you. But what I'm going to show you is the results screen. So here under Analyze Goals, we could see that their current plan is failing. It's at 86%. And so what do? In this case, what we've said is Marie will put $700 towards her spousal RSP. And there'll be $300 going towards Gord's regular RSP, his own RRSP. So that's $1,000 per month going until retirement. Now, Gord and Marie are roughly 41 years old, so they've got a good time span. They're planning on retiring at age 65. They don't want to have to sell their house in retirement. Now, when we do that, we've created that RSP contribution scenario, we could see that the success rate jumps from 86% to 93%. Hey, that's an improvement. Now let's take that and use our little secret strategy to take that refund and invest it. In this case, what we're showing is that we're taking that refund and we're investing it in the TFSA. We invest that into the TFSA and we can see that refund allows the plan to go from 93% successful to 97% successful. Much better. And finally, I've got the last step here. Now, just to go back to this plan could be 100% successful. And how could it be successful? Well, you can make it 100% successful by either maybe retiring a year later, not super popular with people. You can spend less in retirement, or you can obtain a higher return on your investments. And in fact, that's what we see in the last scenario here, is that Marie and Gord have been significantly underinvesting in very, very conservative investments that haven't been doing a whole lot for them. And so when we move them over to their proper risk category, their proper investment portfolio, we can see that they're at 100%. But maybe more importantly here, you could see a column here that says at plan end. And at plan end under all three of these scenarios, because things are pretty tight, they end up with the same amount that they're leaving behind. Generally speaking, that's just the value of their house. You could see that under the recommended plan, or the plan where they're investing properly, you can see the amount of money they're leaving behind is about $6.8 million. Now that's a lot of money to leave behind. So can you think of other ways you can spend that money? Maybe you can travel more. Maybe you can golf more. Maybe you can spoil the grandkids. Maybe you can buy that better wine that you've always wanted to buy. Maybe you can eat out more. You get the idea. I always say that if you're leaving that much money behind, it may be a sign of a life that was not lived well enough. If this situation sounds familiar, don't guess. Click the link below and book a 15-minute introductory call. We'll walk you through the numbers together and see whether there's a more efficient way to structure your things for you. There's no obligation, just an opportunity to see if you can gain more clarity. First, we look at their base case. This is what happens if they simply continue on their current path. Next, we add a $700 monthly spousal RSP contribution in Marie's name and a $300 monthly contribution in Gord's name. Contributions alone don't always solve the problem. Now, we keep the same RSP contribution, but instead of spending the tax refund, we invest that refund. Things continue to change meaningfully with an improvement to 97% success rate. Notice how the success rate improves simply because of better behavior with the refund. At this point, if Gord and Marie want 100% or more success rate, they can delay their retirement by a year, not a popular option by the way, invest more money per month, reduce planned retirement spending, or simply agree to sell the house at the age of 83 and live off the proceeds of sale. They can also simply invest better, which leads us to the final plan. Gord and Marie were significantly underinvesting. When we fix that, we see a dramatic improvement in their overall retirement picture. By doing things better, their estate at age 90 is estimated at $6.8 million. I mean, instead of leaving all that money behind, they could always travel more, play more golf, go out to eat more often, or drink better wine. But what this highlights is that proper planning integrates contributions, investment strategy, tax awareness, and disciplined behavior, and affects outcomes for the better. So what does all of this actually tell us? Small decisions matter, but coordinated planning matters even more. RRSP contributions are powerful when used in the right context and supported by the right behavior. Keep in mind that everything we've discussed today is, well, it's general education. It's not personal advice. The right answer for you depends on your own personal financial situation, your income, your pension situation, your spouse, your retirement, your goals, your long-term tax picture. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. There's an old saying in this industry, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And failure doesn't always mean running out of money. Failure can also mean paying far more tax than you would ever need to. I mean, you should pay your fair share of tax, but not a penny more. If you found this content valuable, please click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when our next video comes out. Well, have you done it yet? Either way, there's still hope for you. I'm Martin Cloutier from Prestige Private Wealth, and we're here to help you deliver today while planning for a better tomorrow.